How we doing? Y'all good?
Pretty good.
Yeah. Who we rolling with?
We just
Yeah.
talked to Alex. Just what are your first impressions of him, and kind of why was he a guy that you wanted to bring to this program?
Yeah, and obviously we're the veteran leadership that we were losing with Elijah Arroyo and Cam McCormick. Alex obviously having over almost 2,000 snaps of college football, right? Coming to stabilizing the room a little bit with a bunch of young guys coming in. So he's brought a very good veteran professional leadership to the room, and obviously is very productive player too, so we're looking forward to him continue to build and develop, and he's just now scratching the surface with us, so
and
excited to have him.
He was talking about working with you on his blocking. Just how have you seen him progress, and what does he have to do to get better at that?
Truthfully, he just got to keep just working the base fundamentals, right? Of playing with a great base and hands inside, pad level, all the stuff that coaches always preach. But truthfully, when you get out there and you got to block the guys we block every day on Green Tree, it's going to make you better, right? So I think that's probably the one curve for him right now is, obviously Tulane, where he came from, is the school he came from is an unbelievable school, but you see Akeem Mesidor out there has been playing football for 6-7 years, and as good as he is, and the other edge guys that we have, I mean, that's a learning curve for anybody. So just that base fundamentals of the technique that will create leverage for him to allow him to get out there and be successful. So
how much do you think he could be a weapon, like in the red zone? He had 7 touchdowns last year. Not a ton of passing or receiving yards, but had a bunch of touchdowns. How much is he a threat?
Oh, he's awesome. He can stretch the field vertically. He's really savvy, getting in and out of breaks, and understanding second level releases, and he can really high point the football. If you look at his length, that's something that one of his dominant traits, his ability to go up and high point it is pretty special. So looking forward to be able to utilize that, and so really excited for that.
So how do you see him and Lofton kind of complementing each other, and will there be room for a third guy?
Oh, yeah. And like I said, we played 4 guys last year. We had roughly around 1,400 snaps, and even Elijah, as a true freshman, was well into the hundreds, So, again, we're as many multiple personnel groupings we get, especially as we cross the 50, and that situational football appears. We got to be ready to go 13, 14 personnel. So all those guys are going to have the ability to establish a role for themselves. So it's just truthfully, it's an open competition right now to see who's going to step up and develop into that role. So
kind of talk about Elijah. How fun is it to have a guy that can do so many things as a tight end coach? Yeah,
I mean, truthfully, I've told a lot of people this. He is one of the most unique players he is the most unique player I've ever coached up to this point in my career. And outside of his athletic ability, truthfully, the leadership that he's already established as a true sophomore, and the respect that he's earned throughout the program just because of his diligent hard work, that speaks for itself, right? That's really, to me as a coach, what I'm most proud about is how he handles his business and how he approaches every day on the field, because athletically he's blessed, right? So, and again, as a coach, man, he's a Swiss Army knife, so you can use him and you can put him in multiple different ways, creates a lot of different matchups, so super excited for him to keep developing and keep pushing himself, so it's going to be a fun year for him, I think.
How have you seen him? What has he improved on the most or developed the most in since maybe this time last year?
At the line of scrimmage. Just understanding that, again, he has super long arms from a length standpoint, but obviously he's not the tallest guy, so he's going to have to learn how to play with that leverage and utilize that, so just understanding at the point of attack from a hand usage standpoint, because he's as strong as they come too. So just utilizing and maximizing that power, especially that he has in his lower body, and his hand usage in the run game's been superb throughout spring football. So he's continuing to learn and develop on that aspect of it.
You guys brought in Jack Nickel.
Yeah.
What does he bring? What are some of his strengths?
Jack's a hammer, man. He gets in there and gets after it, right? And again, he truthfully, Jack so far has been such an awesome add in the room, because he's another veteran guy that comes in and brings some leadership qualities that you're looking for, because he's played a lot of snaps and been around college football for a while. But Jack gets in there and he's physical and mixes it up, and he's a guy that these younger guys can watch too, and he understands leverage and how to get his feet in the ground, and he's doing an unbelievable job for us. Really, really, really nice job.
Rock shot.
Yeah.
How they've looked so far, and what are their ceilings?
Yeah, the sky, truthfully, is as high as they want it to be. They got a long ways to go, but those 2 guys, from an intangible standpoint, athleticism, they check all the boxes. They're exactly who we thought they were while we were recruiting. 2 high-level guys that, again, they're very young and they have to understand how to play football at this level, again, from all the technical and fundamental aspects of it. But again, those 2 dudes, the sky's the ceiling. Right? I mean, it's as high as they want it to be. So again, they just got to keep learning. They're not where they want to be right now, and most guys aren't, right? So they just got to keep pushing and challenge each other and accept that challenge each day, and they can be as good as they want to be honest. So.
How much do you think maybe Brock playing defensive end as well helped him helped him develop and helped him learn, how to block, basically, how to block.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's hand usage is what he's kind of. When you're on the defensive side of the football, your hand usage is typically a lot better developed versus a guy that just strictly played offense. So that's one thing that you could tell he's very natural at that part of it. So just for him, it's just learning to get his cleats in the ground, because that's the difference between offense and defense, right? You're trying to create an extension on defense, and offense, we're trying to get under you and lift you. So just kind of reversing that aspect from a lower body mechanics, that's kind of his biggest growing point right now. But his hand usage has been really good, and I think that's what you typically see with defensive guys that can play both ways. So,
I jokingly asked Shannon Dawson, did you guys have to fight Jason Taylor for which side of the ball Brock would play on?
Well, there were some arguments early in kind of the recruiting process, but I think when Brock kind of decided he was a tight end, so that kind of made it a little easier for us, though. So,
when it comes to recruiting, what are you kind of looking for physically and mentally?
Yeah, we kind of right now we kind of have two separate positions in our room, right? We got the bigger body, right? That's our T, right? So you got to have a guy that has dominant traits at the line of scrimmage, and our F is a guy that has to be able to stretch the field vertically. And truthfully, in our offense, as good as we are throwing the football, like, you got to be able to do everything, right? Again, we don't just limit ourselves we're looking for the most athletic guys that can do everything. But again, from a body type standpoint is where you see that difference sometimes. Just guys that have a little more growth potential and guys that can stretch the field. There is some differences, but we're looking for guys that can do everything, so we have no limitations. So,
just going back to Elijah Lofton, you touched on his matchup situations, how difficult he is for defenses.
Yeah.
Can you explain more about that and maybe how challenging that can be for defense and what kind of weapon it is for them?
Yeah, I mean, it's how powerful he is. People get surprised by it, right? And has elite top end speed, right? So it's a combination of both, right? His ability to play through contact and his ability to separate. And truthfully, he's a really, really savvy football player that understands space, and that's what he can take advantage of based off. He understands what a defender's leverage is and how to expose that, right? He can process that information really quickly, and again, combination of size and speed and strength, and having that savviness creates an issue for a lot of people. And when he gets the ball in his hand, I haven't seen a lot of him get tackled by the first guy many times. So he's a really, really ball in hand guy. He can make a lot of stuff happen. So, and again, truthfully, he's just now scratching the surface. Like, the more reps that guy gets, the better and better he'll get. And again, like I said, I couldn't be more happy and proud for him. So,
with such a unique guy, are there NFL guys or guys you're trying to have him watch or you're watching to try to emulate?
Yeah. There's a guy that actually I grew up watching, Delaney Walker, and even Brevin Jordan, right? We made 2 cut-ups of those 2 guys, right? Obviously, Brevin very similar, and Bill playing at the same high school, wears number 9. That's Elijah's, that's his guy, man. So, truthfully, we made a huge cut-up of Brevin Jordan, and Delaney Walker's a little older, but similar body type, right, and play style. I think those are 2 guys he can emulate his game after, to be able to aspire to play at that next level. So, those are the 2 guys he's really studying and focused on this offseason.